Hi, this is David Trabik, founder of Remax Haven Property Management. We're excited to start working with you. This segment is going to go through the DocuSign forms that we need to set up your account. You will have received an e-signing request from DocuSign. And when you launch that by hitting the Review Documents button, you'll see your screen look something like this. Now, in this case, there is a button here that says, please consent to electronic signatures. Since I've used DocuSign before, that has already been completed for me. I'm going to hit continue, and it'll bring you into the document itself. The first field is asking for the owner, so that's your name and or your business name, depending if you're buying it personally or in your business. The second section asks if it's a single family or multifamily, and then asks you to put the property address in this field. If you have more than one address, you can put multiple addresses across this field, and this agreement will apply to all of those. We have some information about appointing us as your agent, the term and termination of the agreement, the authority and duties of the manager, the maintenance of accounts and records, including the management agreement, payment expenses, records and reports. There's the whole section about management fees, and of course that we require insurance to be carried on the property. We have some other information like indemnification, owner duties, and some miscellaneous clauses like the fair housing clause. On this page, we ask that you enter your address, so whatever legal address you'd like to use for any legal notices or tax notices. Also, please enter your email address and your phone number just to make sure that we have all the correct information in one place. There's some other basic legal clauses like severability, assignability, counterparts, and then we get into something that's important to you, the authorization for additional services. At this point, you can choose for a small extra expense, and those do change over time, so please check with your client relation manager or myself about what the charges are at this point. But we can pay your utilities for vacancy periods when you don't have anybody living in the house. Of course, we need to have those utilities on because if we want to do any rehab or showings, we want the property to have the utilities. We can also pay your real estate taxes, and those might be paid out of escrow if you have a loan, but if not, it might be convenient for you to have us handle that. We can also pay the water and sewer bills. If your lease specifies that the tenant pays for those, we'll then turn around and bill the tenant for that usage. And then finally, we have the ability to pay your rental registration and occupancy certificates. And these are due sometimes once a year, every other year. It really depends on the city. On the last page of the agreement, you'll go ahead and sign it, type in your name, and then if you're signing for a company, this is where you put in your title, whether it's president, member, vice president, treasurer, so on and so forth. The second form specifies your bank account. So on each of the forms, you'll notice that the property address is asked for. We just want to be able to tie this form together to your account. So please put in your property address for the property we're going to manage, the name that the account is in, the bank where you have the account, your 9-digit routing number, and a note on this routing number. Please make sure that the routing number is for ACH transfers. Sometimes banks have different ones for wiring, and that will not work for an ACH transfer. Then enter your account number and sign it. The next form is for insurance, and this is the insurance on your property, which besides insuring your property also has a liability section. So again, we'll put in your property address, the insurance carrier if it's known. At a minimum, we do ask that you put in the agent's name, phone number, and email address, liability limits if it's known, and the effective start and end date if known. Now, sometimes people are signing these forms before they know all the details of their insurance, and we understand that. But we do ask that you at least give us the agent's name, phone number, and email address so we can follow up with them after the property closes to get the proper insurance documents. Missing documents, just as a side note, missing documents may prevent us from being able to pay you your rent each month, and we certainly don't want that to be the case. The last and most complicated two documents are the W-9 and the W-8. You're only going to use one of the two of these, although in some certain circumstances you might use both. So let's go through them. The W-9 is primarily for US-based taxpayers. So if you're buying as an individual, or if you're buying a company, a US US citizen, then you'd use this form. You'd enter your name, business address, or business name, excuse me, and then you would specify whether it's a single member LLC, corporation, partnership, or an LLC, and what type of LLC. You'd enter the address and the city, state, zip for that LLC. And then you'd enter the social security number or the employer identification number and finally sign it. Now, if you're a foreign citizen and you're buying as an individual, you would not use this form. Also, if you're a foreign citizen and you have a single member LLC, you would not use this form. In either of those two cases, you would use the W-8 form. And in this form, you're going to report to us your ITIN number. That's your individual taxpayer identification number. And now, if you do not have one of those, you do need to apply for one. And it takes a little bit of time, so we encourage you to apply right away for that, as again, that might hold up payments for rent from being transferred to you. If you need help with that, we can certainly get you to a qualified tax professional helps. This form, again, has the name of the person, the name of the disregarded entity, the company, the single member LLC, that is. You tell us if it's a partnership, individual, corporation, your permanent address, the country. If you have a business address in the US, you put that in here, your date of birth. You tell us if you're giving us an ITIN or an EIN. And then you'd sign and date this form as well. Now, we can't give you tax advice because we're not qualified professionals, but we certainly have people that can help you with this form. So thanks so much, and we look forward to having you become a client and working with you in the future.